Hello friends, I am in the garage trying to find the paint so that I can touch up around the window in my old office. I need dark green and grey to just paint a patch yay big in that room where I had above the window replastered. I have probably just enough of the grey, absolutely none of the green. So now I have a choice to make. These are all the other colours. I've got one whole never opened and two half tins of this, the light pink, which is the ceiling colour in all of the other rooms upstairs, and one whole unopened and one half of the dark pink, which is the wall colour, in all of the other rooms upstairs apart from this one. So, do I go out and buy a small amount of the dark green so that I can just touch up with the grey that I have, the little bit of the room that needs painting, or do I invest now in the time and effort to repaint that room exactly the same as all the other rooms upstairs? Because I'm recording this for YouTube, that decision probably will have already been made before I finish recording this video. But I might be sat in decision-making paralysis, in which case I might genuinely need you to help me make this decision. So carry on watching to find out what happens. Good morning, my loves. It's very early in the morning. Today is the day that I am going to attempt to repaint the spare room. I'm still in my pyjamas. I've literally just got out of bed and started filming because I'm already so overwhelmed and stressed out by this task. I know I've mentioned previously how much I hate painting. But yeah, I already just feel that this is impossible. I made a start yesterday on prepping the room. Let me just flip the camera. So here we are, look at the dawn. But this is how early in the morning it is. This room is completely empty now. I've started filling. I've done most of the masking. I need to do the woodwork. I'm gonna try and get a quick loose coat on that fresh plaster so it's got time to dry. I think this is going to take at least 3 coats to cover this dark green. I didn't realise, I haven't even fully emptied the room. I didn't realise how much stuff I have in this room. Having emptied it, I started talking earlier on in the video about decluttering. And I have done a lot of decluttering, and yet my whole house, one of the things that is making me feel really overwhelmed right now is that having emptied this room, none of the things that lived in it have homes anymore, and my whole house is just chaos, piles of stuff that have come out of this room that I don't know what to do with. And even though I have so much less stuff than I had before, I still have an overwhelming amount of stuff that I don't know what to do with, and it's making me feel very stressed out. Let me show you. So this room is chaos with stuff that doesn't have a home anymore. The dogs are in my bedroom because they don't have a home anymore. This small bedroom is chaos because all that stuff doesn't have a home anymore. Got piles of stuff on the stairs. Oh, it's dark downstairs. The light bulb is... There is no light bulb. I need to get a new one. Piles of stuff in the kitchen. The that doesn't have anywhere to live. And then piles and piles of stuff in the new office that is waiting to be given a home. So the time that I would have spent putting all of these things away and organising them and making myself feel on top of my space again and in control is now being diverted to painting the bedroom. I'm beginning to think this was a really bad idea. I know I will feel good about it when it's done, but the next couple of days are going to be really difficult. I have recruited some help. I have a friend coming over later today to give me a hand for a couple of hours with the painting, and I think that is going to be a genuine morale boost, a much needed injection of energy, and once I get going I'm sure it'll be fine, but right now I already feel massively defeated and deflated by the whole exercise. So I'm going to very quickly do that first loose coat, I say loose coat, like a really diluted paint on the fresh plaster. Now, then I'm going to make some breakfast. Then I need to go to my dad's and get some equipment out of his garage. And then I'm going to come back and either do a first coat on the walls with the roller or finish masking up the woodwork. Here's a cat for your enjoyment. This is why you shouldn't start painting until you have dust sheets, because I've just poured paint all over the floor. Okay chaps, it is some time later. Ooh, it's echoey in here, sorry about that. Sometime later, I've had breakfast, I've brushed my teeth, I've got my DIY clothes on, which is a very holy jumper and a very holy pair of old leggings. I've had some breakfast, did I just say that? I'm still feeling very tired, but the sun is shining. I'm ready to start. Probably going to be quite difficult to see because of the light, but that first coat that I've just thrown over the new plaster has actually covered really well and is dry. So the plan is going to be to colour wash this whole room in this light pink colour because I have the most of it. The light pink colour will be the ceiling colour and then a darker pink colour on the walls, but I've just done a bit of a tester. The paint was too wet and the roller was too small, so I gave up, but it's covered, even then it's covered a bit better, this dark green, than I thought it was going to. So I'm just going to do one colour wash of the light pink just to white out the green a little bit, and then the dark pink is going to go on it. I need to go, it was frosty last night, so I need to go and warm up the van, because before I can start doing any more painting I need to go and get drop cloths, roller things, and potentially, hopefully a paint stirrer from my dad. It's going to take about half an hour to warm the van up before I can drive over there. So I'm going to go and turn it on and then come back and just sand down that, which will take about 30 seconds. Dad's garage, a mecca for all things DIY, and allegedly the home of everything I need to finish my activities. turned out to be a wholly unsuccessful mission. I ended up with one roller. So I am going to have to go and find a builder's merchant and get some paint trays. So far, my no-spend DIY paint job has cost me about 35 quid. But I now have all of the tools and equipment that I need to crack on. It's time to go home and get started. Good morning at the beginning of day 2 of, was it day 2 or day 3? I'm not sure, of redecorating this room, even though I hate painting. I've just popped in to see where we're starting on this day. Let me flip. So yesterday I did 1 coat on the walls and 2 coats on the ceiling. I'm actually pretty happy with how this is looking. It's not too bad, considering I have horrific painting skills. Today, I was wondering what was going on with the radiator then, but the heating's on. Today, I am desperately working to counteract my avoidance brain because I do not want to do this. I'm already completely over this project and there's still loads to do. Painting the walls is the easy bit. It's the woodwork that's going to be the end of me. But today's job will be to mask out the line. I don't know if you can see the line. It's about sort of there where my finger is. Very dirty fingernail. The line with masking tape so that I can do the second wall coat, which is going to be in a darker colour. I would take you into the bedroom to show you what that looks like, but I've literally just got out of bed and the bedroom's tip, so I'm not going to. I have so many other things to do today and I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed and struggling to prioritise in my effort to break the back of this job, this room yesterday. I did not walk the dogs, so I think the first thing I'm going to have to do is take the dogs out for a walk. I think that's only fair. And then hope that I haven't completely run out of energy by the time I come to this, but I hate this kind of work. But anyway, right now, before I can do anything, I really need some breakfast, and that will probably make me feel a lot better. So I shall see you on the other side of that. So I'm masking up freehand because I've got an existing line to work from. So up close where I am is really visible. So I'm just using small pieces of masking tape so I don't screw up the line at all, and just following that existing line. Above the line will stay as it is, and below the line I'm introducing a second colour to this room. I've decided that the thing I really hate about DIY is the attention to detail. Like this project, this cannot be done badly. This has to be precise, otherwise the whole finish is going to be off. That's why the woodwork takes the longest. Slapping paint on a wall, piece of cake. But getting the woodwork right, the inside of that cupboard over there is probably going to take me longer than the whole of the rest of the room, because I've got to prime the wood and a whole bunch of other things. So yes. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this, and I'm going to need my phone so that I can listen to an audiobook while I'm doing it. I will be back with you a little later. Okay, new problem. I have finished taping up the ceiling so I can do my wraparound faux picture rail line thing. This is supposed to be low tack masking tape, but I had to adjust the line slightly above the window, and when I've taken the tack off, it has taken the paint with it, and I don't know if this is going to do it all the way around, or if it's just because the paint here isn't sitting nicely on the plaster. Shall I pull a bit off here and risk my line to find out? Yeah. It's not great. Might be doing a little bit more touching up here than I wanted to. Bugger. It's too late now. We're committed. I may have been a little bit premature, but I have just cut in from the line, the masking line, and then peeled off the masking tape, and the line has mostly stayed. There's a tiny little gap just there that I will need to figure out at some stage, and I'm probably never going to be able to do a second coat on that line, but hey ho. I'm going to do this whole wall, see what it looks like before I start on any of the rest. Okay, it's time for a tea break. Okay, I am done for today. I have done the first coat of the dark pink. It has gone wrong up here. That is where the new plaster work is, and when I've taken the masking tape off it, it has pulled the paint away, which just means that the paint underneath hadn't properly soaked in, even though I had given it a proper, I don't really know what the proper term is, but when you give it a really diluted paint so that it sucks in. I'm going to have to do something about that, but I'm going to wait until it's fully dry. Hopefully, this won't need another coat. That is what I'm praying for. But I'm going to leave it to completely dry and come back tomorrow and see. But it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty pleased. Hard work, not work I enjoy. But done. I'll stand in the doorway and give you a panorama. Hello again and welcome to the next day in the chronicle that is my painting Misery, the DIY job that should have taken 10 minutes and is now on day 4. It's actually the middle of the afternoon on Saturday, and I had convinced myself that the walls were done, and if I could just generate enough energy to do an hour on woodwork this afternoon, that would pay dividends in the long run. But looking at the walls in the daylight, I'm going to have to give them another roll. There's just a few too many patchy bits, and I think it just makes sense to roll it out again. So yeah, I'm going to go and do that. Let me see if I don't know if in the camera will pick up what I mean. Let me see. Trouble is the light's quite bad, but do you see there and there? That's patches where there wasn't enough paint on the roller. And there's another one there, which you can't see. The wall over there is pretty good. That is the wall I started on, and probably gave the most energy to. And by the time I got to this part of the room, I was just tired and desperate for it to be over. So it is patchier. So yeah, one more time around with the roller is in order, and then it'll be ready for woodwork. Got myself some sugar and a support crew to help us through it. You ready? You ready to paint? What do you reckon? Greetings on another day of painting. I'm going to assume that the people who would normally watch DIY videos actually enjoy DIY. I hate it. I didn't know how much I hated it until after I decided to renovate my own house. So I'm sorry if you are now completely bored by everything that you're seeing. It's my last day to get this room back into some semblance of order. I go back to work tomorrow. So, having rolled the walls for a 3rd time yesterday, just looking around, it's actually looking, I think we've cracked it. It is actually looking nice. I'm cross that the bit above the window, which is the only reason I started this project, almost in the same state as it was before, which is that for whatever reason the mist coat didn't work, and when I took the masking tape off, all of the paint came with it. That's going to need some kind of primer that I don't have, and is a problem that I can solve another day. But what I really want to do today is to get rid of the dust sheets and start to sort of organise this room a little bit, put it back together. Mainly put the bookcase back down in the corner, and the prerequisite for that is to paint some woodwork. I have a coffee. This is becoming the room where all my cups come to die. I don't know how long that cup's been there. I need to put some painting garb on, get out of my dressing gown. It's very cold today. I need to get out of my dressing gown into some painting garb and just come and do some woodwork and see how far I get. And then if that can dry enough that tonight I can get rid of some of the dust sheets and put the bookcase back, then we can start to feel like we're on top of things. But I know that pink is not for everyone, and this is a vintage pink, it's not a Barbie pink. It comes from Heritage colours. It does look so much nicer in here. It's so much brighter. It's the green was very dark and it made this room very dark and very shadowy. I am pleased that I have done this, and it makes the room consistent with the rest of the upstairs. So it was the right decision, even if I dislike it intensely. See you in a bit. Now I'm painting the woodwork, and I'm using a relatively small brush, partially because that's the brush I have available. I am taking paint straight out of the paint tin, which for some people is a sin, but I have limited equipment and it's just the easiest way for me to do it. And you'll notice that I'm using a piece of paper on the floor, so I don't have to do loads of masking up, and I can just move that piece of paper along and pick up any splashes. Works really nicely. So I confess it has been at least a month since I last stepped foot in this room. You can tell because I'm wearing different glasses. But it's crunch time, I have to finish it off. The bed is being delivered on Monday, so this room needs to be finished, otherwise the bed has nowhere to go. I have been out this morning to the builders merchants and I've purchased this, which the internet tells me is what I need to solve the problem of above the window. So that is going to be the first thing. Apparently it can go on without sanding, but as I've already painted it and there's flaky paint, I am going to have to sand first. And whilst I'm sanding up there, I'm also going to sand, where's my finger? The windowsill, simply because I forgot to paint the windowsill when I was doing the skirting boards, and I also forgot to paint the skirting board that was underneath the radiator. So those are the first and most important jobs for today. Ideally, I will then still have enough energy to tackle the cupboard. But actually, that can be done after the bed has been delivered. So I'm slightly less worried about it. But yeah, that is the job for today. So this is a close-up of the problem above the window. This is where I did not properly mist coat, and so the paint has not stuck to the wall. And when I painted over it and then lifted, because it's two different colours, let me just zoom out a little bit, two different colours, and I took away the masking tape took the paint with it. So I need to sand this down, paint it with the primer, remask the line, and then I can emulsion the two colours. Ready to prime. It says shake thoroughly, and essentially that's it. Everything needs to be sanded, free from dust and dry. I have just wiped over with a very lightly damp cloth just to get rid of any dust particles. I don't think that counts as being wet, so I'm just gonna paint. This, by the way, product is called Zinner Bin, B-I-N, Interior and Spot Exterior Primer Sealer Stain Killer. It seems to be a universal primer. You can put it on anything, according to the instructions, which are vast. But yes, application, it says shake or stir before use, eliminate all sources of ignition, apply with a natural synthetic brush, roller or sprayer, follow manufacturer's instructions when using spray, do not thin. If bin thickens in the container due to solvent evaporation and a small amount of methylated spirits, apply when air and surface temperature is between 1 degree and 32 degrees. Cover may vary depending upon method of application and surface porosity. That's a big word for a Saturday morning. Anyway, I'm going to crack on. The first question is always, can I get in the tin? Ooh. That's a jolly sound. That's the sound that we're looking for. Hooray! And that was it. That was all it needed. Giant tub of paint that cost me about 25 quid for just that small area. I'm tempted to just now go around and prime everything in my house to justify that expense, but I can't be bothered. I'm just going to go straight on to wood painting, and I need to wash my brush. Turns out I can't just wash this in the sink. I need something else that I probably don't have. So I actually just need to find another brush and come back to this problem. Just a quick reminder that to paint the woodwork in here, I am using this paint from B&Q. It is their interior wood and metal paint mixing base. I've only got a little bit to do, so I'm going to be using it straight out of the tub. Professional people or regular DIYers might be cursing me for such bad practice. But really, the amount I have to do just does not justify decanting any of this into a tub. So again, really big shake, and it will be fine. A little bit of me is very worried that I have just painted this woodwork two completely different colours.
And I'm hoping that that's just the difference in drying time. And when this is dried, they'll look the same. If I look at it from the other direction, it matches much better.
Okay, so that all took absolutely no time at all. I don't know why I have been so afraid to come in here and tackle any of these jobs for the last month, but yeah, just the way that it is. Whilst I have the woodwork brush, I am going to tackle some bits of the cupboard and then I'll come back and do the walls. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm doing it. We'll find out whether or not it made sense, but if you have comments or thoughts about that, do feel free to put them below. Now that I have made an absolutely bang-up hash job of the woodwork in this cupboard, it is time for me to move on to slapping some more paint around along the walls. And for this, I am going to use a tray and a mini roller. And then hopefully, by the time I have done that, maybe the primer on the other wall will be dry and I'll be able to take my mini roller and do over there as well. I've lost the mini roller and all I've got is this. I don't think this is the right tool for the job. It might just have to do. Just going to use the big roller instead. So things are going broadly well, except that I'm currently being sabotaged by my complete lack of paintbrushes to do any sort of cutting in here. Let me show you. And I've realised that I forgot to paint the woodwork on the inside of the cupboard. So now I've got to do that. I've stopped filming me doing this because the lighting is really bad and I'm in a dark cupboard, so you really can't sort of see. I think you get the gist though. This is where having at least a vague notion of what it is that you're trying to achieve would be useful, and putting together even a small plan would probably make this whole experience an awful lot easier. But that is not the world that I inhabit, and I just keep reminding myself that the attempt was done, not perfect, so I'm not trying to worry too much. On to the next phase. So I think I have now achieved everything that I can achieve today. This top coat over the window, that's going to need to dry until tomorrow before I can come in and do the second colour. Similarly, where I have painted inside the cupboard in 2 stages, I've done a second coat on the lower bit. The top bit needs a good 24 hours to dry before I come back in and attempt it again. But I'm actually really pleased. I don't think you can see because it's really dark in there. And actually when I'm looking at it through the camera, you can see it's a bit patchier than I thought it was. But actually with a second coat, that's come up quite lovely. So time to clean the brushes and have some. And I will see you in whenever the next instalment of this saga of decorating the spare bedroom continues. Hopefully tomorrow. And then maybe I'll finish this video when the bed is in and I've dressed the room so you can kind of see the final effect. That might be nice. I have about, I've just found another bit that I forgot to paint. Look. Oh no. Well, I'm not doing it now because I need some lunch. I'm really hungry, so I'll think about whether or not I care enough to do that tomorrow. Bye for now. Why does cleaning rollers take hours? Hours and hours and hours. And we are finished. Full disclosure, I did break the blind when I was trying to put it up. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how to fix it.
but the chain has snapped. I also learned from my mistakes, if you take nothing else from this video than that, because I did not pay proper attention to dust sheets, so I did spend about an hour cleaning paint off the floor. But the room is done. I'm actually really pleased with it. I'm very delighted that I can paint. It's a bit inconsistent is probably the worst thing I can say about it. Some bits are quite good and some bits are terrible. Don't look too closely at some of the detail, but it's as good as it needs to be. Hurrah! Ready for the beds to be delivered tomorrow. That's exciting. Look how red I am. I was getting very stressed trying to put the blind up, back up, and it's made my cheeks go super red. I will see you in the next bit. So here's the fully finished room with furniture and the new bed. I put up some curtains and a lampshade, and I've just tried to make it a really nice and cosy spare room, ready for somebody to come and stay.